Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Boy, I'll tell you what, Disney just can't keep themselves out of lawsuits this year. It seems like it's kind of a thing that just kind of another day that ends in Y, where Disney is facing another lawsuit. Obviously, we've got Gina Carano going on with all the crazy Star Wars stuff as well as that. And while it looks like Star Wars is under assault from another lawsuit, ladies and gentlemen, and this isn't just something that's been announced out there. This isn't just something that's been, pushed out there in the media. Go, yes, I'm going to sue Disney, yada, yada, yada. Because we see that stuff happen all the time. And then a lot of the time it ends up getting dismissed out of hand. Like, they don't have standing or whatever it was. Or, Disney's lawyers are just powerful enough to pay off enough judges to where, that kind of stuff gets dismissed out of hand. Obviously, we've seen this not happen of the last few years because obviously Gina Carano's case is now moved past the point of dismissal, and now there's another one out there that has done the exact same thing, and that, I think, is very, very fascinating, ladies and gentlemen, because this could end up meaning that the Walt Disney Company ends up having to pay out a whole bunch of more money for Star Wars, considering the fact that they're already bleeding money on Star Wars left and right as is, and me, personally, I think that is absolutely hilarious, ladies and gentlemen. So none other than IGN.com is reporting on this. Now, one of the things that I thought about this initially, too, was Rogue One has been around for a long time. It's been out for a while. I think it's honestly the only legitimately, arguably good Disney Star Wars movie out there that they have ever produced. It's something that I've enjoyed. I watched it a couple of times out there, but I thought this was kind of odd that it took so long for something to happen, considering a movie that's been released for been out for quite a while now. But at the end of the day, the way it works with court stuff, and the way it works with getting lawyers together and making sure you have a solid court case together, I could see why stuff like this might happen and take for a while. I mean, it's certainly it's not like they're out there making gangbusters of money off of Rogue One right now. You'd think this would have been something you would have seen come out if it was just all about the money. You would have seen something come out at the height of this. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that these arguments are being made out there now with the recreations of AI and using this for people's likenesses and using people that have already passed away and be able to put this forward, and a lot of the kind of backlash and of course a lot of the court struggles that are going to end up going over this kind of stuff to figure out this with this new emerging technology, to see how all of this kind of stuff pans out. And it looks like this might end up being one of those cases that decides exactly that. So we're going to check out this article from IGN.com, get into all of the juicy details and get into what the judge has actually said about this, because he has already ruled on a argument to dismiss twice on this case already, and it looks like this one will end up going to trial. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, we are trying to reach bigger and better heights, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Do you think this lawsuit will end up going the way the plaintiff wants it, or do you think Disney will end up pulling some kind of fast nonsense and end up getting this crushed, even if it does end up all the way in front of a jury, which it seems like it is going directly to? Let us know what you think about all that down below. So Lucasfilm sued for recreating Grand Moff Tarkin actor Peter Cushing's image in Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And obviously, if you're not very well aware of that, Cushing died in 1994. Rest in peace to an absolute legend. Disney subsidiary Lucasfilm is being sued over its recreation of Grand Moff Tarkin actor Peter Cushing's image in Rogue One, a Star Wars story. As reported by The Times, a friend of Cushing has alleged Disney did not have permission to recreate the actor's image with special effects for Rogue One. Disney tried and failed to have this case dismissed for a second time on September 9th, 2024. Yes, just a couple of days ago, boys and girls, and Disney already got told, no. This is going to court. You're not getting out of this one, Star Wars. The plaintiff, Kevin Francis, is suing Lucasfilm through his film company, Two Boom Film Productions, and also brought claims against Rogue One producer Lunac Heavy Industries, the late executors of Cushing's estate, and Cushing's agency Associated International Management. And that's one of those things, too. You can kind of see Disney's point on this. If you had literally the executor of the industries on board with this, you had his management team on management team on board with all of this kind of stuff and everything else. That kind of makes you think that Disney would be like, yeah, no, we're okay, we're all good on this. But it looks like this guy has brought up some other stuff that has at least convinced a judge to allow it to go to a jury of our peers to actually go out there and decide what the truth is in this case. So Francis claimed he must give authorization for any recreation of Cushing's image following an agreement between him and the actor in 1993, 1 year before his death at age 81. Now, one of the things that IGN doesn't talk about is if this is a report actually in writing. I'd imagine that's something you'd have to end up breaking down, getting into the court cases and getting into the filings. But needless to say, the judge has seen enough that he believes there is legitimacy for this case to end up going to a jury trial out there. Lucasfilm claimed it didn't think it needed permission to recreate Cushing's image due to his original contract for Star Wars. Oh, yes, of course. Well, just like because of the contract, that we had with you as a Disney Plus subscriber trial member that says you can't sue us, everything has to go to arbitration. Well, we just thought we were fine because of the original contract from literally decades ago in 1977. I'm sure we were fine. Yeah, because AI recreation and bringing literally the dead back to life inside of movies was not something the VFX artists were thinking about in 77, and certainly not something the contract lawyers were thinking about back then either. But this is honestly something that we have seen obviously come up huge in the last couple of years. We literally had Hollywood go on a complete and total strike for those actors and actresses along with the writers, all because of a lot of AI kind of stuff and them not feeling they got properly compensated for the kind of nonsense that companies like Disney, Star Wars, and so many others are out there trying to pull with their likenesses and images. And the nature of the special effects. It also paid around $37,000 to Cushing's estate after being contacted by his agent about the recreation. Oh, hey, boys and girls, you don't want to complain, you don't want to sue. Hey, here's a big fat check, go away and be quiet, because I'd imagine even their agent had some kind of issue, some kind of problem with this. But they got themselves a fat check. They figured this is a golden goose. This is probably the biggest check they're going to get out of Cushing because obviously he's dead now. So we're going to go ahead and take the paycheck and just run with it. Probably didn't. They probably should have asked for a little bit more. So on September 9th, Deputy High Court Judge Tom Mitchison dismissed the appeal, stating the case should go to trial. I'm also not persuaded that the case is unarguable to the standard required to give summary judgment or to strike it out. In an area of developing law, i.e. all the AI technology that we were talking about earlier, it is very difficult to decide where the boundaries might lie in the absence of a full factual inquiry. So this may end up going this way. We're going to have to see what happens. Obviously, they did this with Carrie Fisher, obviously with the technology they've used with Mark Hamill, but Mark Hamill is still alive. Obviously, Carrie Fisher was not at the time when all of this other kind of stuff went on, but this is one of them situations where this is what happens with these new emerging technologies. And when contracts from decades ago are tried to apply to a modern era, a judge is not going to generally go over well with that kind of stuff because he doesn't want to set a precedent that a contract that was created during a time where this technology probably wasn't even really imagined outside of some of the greatest sci-fi writers of our time out there, that you're going to have to figure this out. You're going to have to work this out, and case law is going to have to be made. The real question is, how much damage is this going to do to a Disney Star Wars brand that is already bleeding money? Of course, Disney Star Wars has got plenty of coffers out there that they'll probably have the front, whatever this kind of stuff ends up going to. But at the end of the day, this is a case that needs to go to court, and these kind of things need to be decided. There needs to be some kind of a legal precedent to set for this, so that way contracts know what they're going to need to do and require and put in them going forward. I'm no lawyer by any means, but I am very fascinated to see where this court case goes, because the judges already said, hey, this is going to trial. And in a time right now where the Walt Disney Company, especially Star Wars, is dealing with lawsuit after lawsuit that are all going to trial, boys and girls, the next couple of years for Disney in the courtroom should be very, very excited to see what happens and how much money the House of Mouse can lose, especially when it comes to Star Wars. After all, they did it to themselves, and they'll get exactly what they deserve.